Wisteria, energy, twister. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fair Folk, and we're still on the seeds. We're now on the Corrigans. These are found in the French Brit folklore. Corrigans are roughly comparable to the modern idea of small, mischievous elves. They look like adult humans but are the size of children. They're usually nocturnal, they only come out when the sun sets. Like other fairies, Corrigans may be helpful to humans, especially around farms or houses, but can also be cruel to them if they're human in their power. And are usually not willing to aid humans if, obviously, if the humans are cruel to them, if you mistreat them, if you say something that doesn't sit well with them. I mean, as you know, that's what fairies are like, right? They're also inclined to punish those who violate their privacy, reward humans they like, and to take human children. Corrigans enjoy dancing, and anywhere and everywhere they dance, fairy rings may just appear. When they are seen, it is usually in groups, and they always wear white clothing, it is said. Next is the co-walker. Now, it's a concept. It comes from some writings of Reverend Robert Kirk, who made it clear that a co-walker is a type of fairy being attached to, but separate from a human being. He describes the co-walker as looking identical to a living human and being seen by other humans both during the lifetime of the person they are attached to, as well as after the human dies, although they eventually return to their own people. I'm sure you know that it's like a doppelganger situation, I think. They're not really described as being dangerous, or indeed as doing much more than occasionally being seen by other humans as an omen. The living human would be arriving at that location soon. It's possible that people with a second sight abstain from eating meat at funerals or banquets, should avoid sharing a meal with the co-walker. That can be dangerous, apparently. People that were able to see such spirits and distinguish them from living humans saw them among pallbearers carrying the casket at funerals, as well as eating at funerals and feasts, implying perhaps that such spirits use their form to move unnoticed among humans. It's possible, I suppose. Nobody really knows why co-walkers do attach to humans, but we'll look at a writing from Kirk in 1893. It accompanied that person so long and frequently, for ends best known to itself, whether to guard him from the secret assaults of some of its folks, or only as a sportful mimicry, to counterfeit all his actions. So that's an interesting thought, that they may actually be doppelgangers, you know. Now, I'm not very good at pronouncing, Scottish or Gaelic or anything, but this is apparently the Crodamara. They're sea cattle. They're a kind of fairy cow that live under the water in Scottish folklore, also sometimes called Crod Syth fairy cattle. They're said to live on seaweed only, so, they're not exactly dangerous. The Kusihi. There are many different types of fairy animals, both the shape-shifting beings, like the Puka, who can take animal form, and animals that are part of fairy, such as the horses of the Tuatha de Danann. One of the more interesting and diverse is the Kusihi, which translates literally to fairy hound in English. The Kusidi are found in every Celtic language-speaking culture under versions of the same name. Fairy hound, Cusith, Scottish, Quin Anwin, Welsh, and appear under Anglicised names in the Isle of Man. Fairy hounds are also known to ride with a wild hunt and may be called Gabriel, Ratchets, Dandy dogs, or hellhounds. They are also sometimes conflated with the ghostly hounds known as the Black Dog, the Black Shuck, Hellhounds Padfoot, Bogey, Muddy Doom, or the Grim. Although there is some debate about whether these ghost dogs are truly fairy hounds or a different type of being. Catherine Briggs divides these supernatural dogs into three categories: supernatural beings, human ghosts in dog form, and ghosts of dogs. For all purposes, let's just look at otherworldly dogs. It's important to understand that the subject is complex, and what appears to be a dog may or may not actually be a dog, and what seems to be a fairy may or may not fall into that loose definition. There's a variety of more intelligent fairy beings, like the pucker who can take the form of a dog, among others, but which would not be considered a kusihi, as that dog form is only of the ones they can take. It's a form they take on, it's not a form they are always in. The true fairy hound is limited to that particular shape. The kusidi may appear as a huge, shaggy, black or dark green dogs, as swift white hounds with red eyes and ears, sometimes missing a limb, or as smaller white dogs. The black and green kusihi are known by their enormous size, often described as being as large as a calf with huge round eyes. These spectral dogs may be male or female, may appear alone, in pairs or in packs. A kusidi may also appear as a black dog with a white ring around its neck, usually seen on a fairy hill. What unites them as a group is their nature as beings of fairy. The kusihi, when associated with the wild and usually frighten people, as the hunt itself is an omen of war, death, and madness, although it can also bring blessings. Because of this and related folklore, the black and green kusihi tend to have dangerous reputations. The black dogs are seen as an omens of death, although it's a bit murky as to whether, like the bean sihi, the dog shows up to warn of an impending death, or whether the dog causes the actual death. However, not all black dogs are bad omens. In at least some cases, the appearance of the black dog was a protective one. In the story of the Swan Cliff, where a man has a black dog appear and accompany him through a dark wood, twice, only to find out later that the dog had saved him from being robbed and killed by highwaymen. Fairy hounds may also appear as guardians, guardians of treasures, guardians of something they have known all their lives and need to stay there, even guardians of particular people from particular families. They're known for guardians of treasure in Scotland. In Ireland, kusihi are often associated with specific fairy locations where they are known to be seen over the course of multiple generations, or are known to sit and watch people. But they're only considered dangerous if they are disturbed, otherwise they will remain peaceful. In at least one example, a small white fairy dog appeared as an omen of the coming of the good people to a home, to warn the inhabitants to prepare for the fairy's arrival. This anecdote comes from the Isle of Man and shows the diverse nature of fairy hounds. All the family was sometimes sitting in the house of cold winter night, and my great-grandmother and her daughters at their wheels spinning, when a little white dog would suddenly appear in the room. Then everyone there would have to drop their work and prepare for the company to come in. They would put down a fire, leave fresh water for them, and hurry off upstairs to bed. They could hear them come, but could never see them, only the dog. The dog was a fairy dog, and a sure sign of their coming. That's from 1911. Fairy dogs may appear with the Dainsihi during fairy raids, or they may appear wandering on their own, guarding fairy hills, or going ahead of the gentry to warn of their presence. Black dogs seem to be territorial, favouring churchyards, roadways, crossroads, gallows as well. Wherever there's been a gallows, they've been known to be around there. In stories, they are often associated with a particular area which is considered haunted. Ukusihi may appear standing motionless on fairy hills, or even among mortal dogs on occasion. Many people assume the Kusidi's black dogs are ill omens, and indeed they may be, but that's not always the case. While the appearance of such a hound, especially if it is baying or howling, is usually an omen of death, the fairy hounds may also appear for some other reasons. Sometimes they are very protective, either of a location or someone in the area, a person that they are attached to through family name and lineage. They can be, guiding a person to not walk in a particular area, not meaning that they will harm you, but they want to allow you to walk there, not touching that area, but walk away unharmed. They may also appear for unknown reasons, without directly harming or affecting anyone. It's not possible. There are modern day encounters with the Kusihi at Neolithic sites that were generally associated to the Densihi. In one case, guiding a person to a site when it couldn't be found, and in another, accompanying the person inside a cairn. And those are in the 21st century, so not that far back, might I add. And that is the last part of our C's for the fairies. We'll go on to the D's next. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Fair Folk. Hit that like, share if you can, and do consider subscribing. Many blessings. Wisteria. Energy. Twister.